This is Marriage on the Half Shell, Raw and Exposed. Tonight might be a fun one. It could be fun. We're calling this the Anti-Valentines Day episode.
Yes. We are anti-Valentine's Day. Let us explain.
Yes. This, I think for us, it started quite a few years ago. Valentine's Day at our house was never something that we really celebrated. I think we've actually been out on Valentine's Day. Maybe we've been married 32 years, maybe twice we've been out.
I think.
And the first time it was, we had no plans for Valentine's Day because we just don't do that. And our regular babysitter called us and said, "You guys are going out for Valentine's Day and I'm going to come over and babysit." And we were like, "All right, okay." I mean, we didn't make reservations anywhere, so we went to some crowded restaurant and stood in line for an hour and got a table, and it's just, it's a commercialized. This is very commercialized. We could talk about how Christmas might fall into that category too.
Sure.
But there is some meaning behind Christmas as well. It's not just a commercialized holiday. And
sure.
Valentine's Day has been that from the start, really.
Okay.
Yeah. What?
No.
Not
arguing.
No. Yeah. I know for a lot of years we would make a point of staying home, and like you guys would cook for all the ladies, right?
Right.
And we would all get kind of dressed in nicer clothes, and you guys would make us dinner, and you'd kind of serve it to us. We were trying to teach our boys how to treat ladies, right?
Yep.
And I think it rubbed off. We'll see.
So far.
So far, yeah. But for me, I know it really turned sour for me about, 6 or 8 years ago. I listened to a lot of talk radio. And so I'm driving around and I've got the radio on, and I just hear one commercial after another, and they're all pressuring men, get something for your girlfriend, wife, significant other, whatever it is. And it just really made me angry. It was like, didn't he just buy you something for Christmas? I mean, what is this? This is nonsense, and it's stuff like, get your girlfriend a diamond or jewelry, or take her, the $50 roses that were $12 last week before Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
There's the other thing. Send her chocolate-covered strawberries, all this expensive stuff. And it made me really angry because I did not hear commercials the other direction. There is this stereotype around Valentine's Day where men are supposed to buy their significant other something expensive after he just spent money on you for Christmas, and women are supposed to pony up and have sex with them. And like, that's what it's all about. Right?
Men have to prove something that they love you.
Yeah.
By buying a big gift. It's even bigger. I mean, they don't. I guess we might see it now and then, but we certainly don't see commercials for diamonds for Christmas.
Some, but not.
It's more around Valentine's Day.
Yes,
the chocolate, like you said, the chocolate covered strawberries. The pajamas, silk pajamas. I'm trying to remember some of the other radio commercials.
God.
But anyway, and this is all you. I didn't put you in this position to hate Valentine's Day.
No.
So I'm glad
that there's not pressure on you around.
Well, it's like
we're going to go into some deeper reasons here as to why why we're kind of anti-Valentine's Day, but this is kind of the surface level where it started. I think
it started us thinking about it. I mean, how is it really love if you're pressured into doing something?
Yeah.
And if your spouse, thinks, well, unless he gets me something expensive on Valentine's Day, then he doesn't love me. Really?
Yeah.
I mean, is that what what kind of message are you sending? Okay, I got you the stuff.
Yeah.
Or whatever.
Now have sex with me.
It doesn't even imply that a lot of times.
Sometimes,
a couple of commercials, sure, but a lot of times it has. It really doesn't matter.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right. It's just.
It's pressure.
Buy something.
Just pressure.
Buy something. Buy something.
Yeah.
So.
And come on, Valentine's Day. I never looked up the history on it, but come on, it's some kind of Hallmark commercialized. It's nonsense.
I'm sure there's I don't know.
Saint Valentine's
entomology to it.
Yeah,
right?
Saint Valentine was burned at the stake. So I mean, how much do you want to get into this? I mean, that just seriously.
I don't even know.
Seriously.
Nobody cares about the history of Valentine's Day.
Yeah. They've turned it into
any more than they care about what Christmas really means.
That's
they
true.
just want you to buy
true.
stuff.
That is true. That is true.
Anyway, so that's the surface.
That's the surface level stuff.
Yeah.
But I think the other problem we have with it is that it's treated as if this is the time that you romance your significant other, right?
Right.
And
once a year,
yeah,
or twice a year.
Yeah, like Valentine's Day, anniversary, birthday, and maybe Christmas. I mean, you and I don't really exchange Christmas presents. We did this year, but we don't usually exchange Christmas presents per se. Not really.
Little things, but
yeah. So, it's this. It's the. How do I say this? It's putting pressure on either party to show romance this one day, when actually that should be a part of your relationship, every day.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I think that's the deeper.
Yes.
Some of the deeper stuff is, don't commercialize or Valentine's Day and everything around it trains you culturally to that's when you do romance.
Yeah.
Right? It's like a cultural training that we accept and we just absorb.
Yeah.
Right? But we shouldn't. We should do something. I mean, literally do something every day.
Sure. And we
can go into some of the things that we're talking about. Right? So it's not this buy a big thing every day or buy a big thing every week.
Right.
Or even every month.
Right.
Right?
Right.
I mean, you can romance your spouse and it should go back and forth, right? It should be both of you participating equally, and you can go back and forth with little things. And if you do something every day or every other day or something like that,
right.
There's more romance there to be found and to be realized than once a year, hey, I'm taking you out to dinner and here's a diamond.
I'm taking you out to dinner to a restaurant that would have charged us half this much if we had come here in 2 weeks ago or 2 weeks from now.
And that's another thing.
The money.
The restaurants, well, it's not just the money. It is the money, but it's like they give you this. A lot of restaurants do the prefix dinner,
yeah.
And it's like, okay, and it's all so they can rush you through there as fast as possible to get as many people to eat and get you out of there so they can get someone else in.
Yeah.
So it's more expensive. And to be honest, the food is not even as good as that restaurant is
capable of.
Yeah.
Because they're rushing.
They're rushing.
Yeah.
That's just a gripe.
Huh.
It's like, okay, what are we doing here? What are we paying for, right? The atmosphere isn't that good.
Yeah.
Because it's crowded.
Oh, it's crowded and loud.
Everybody's running around and you had to wait an hour.
Yeah.
And if you got a reservation, which you had to start on 5
Christmas.
months ago.
Yeah.
I might be exaggerating a little bit, but, it's just not that great of an experience to be saying this is romantic.
Yeah.
Because it's not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and we did an entire episode on romance and the importance of romance and romancing your spouse. And when we say that, it's not necessarily implying the flowers, the chocolates, the jewelry, the lingerie, all that stuff. All that stuff is mixed in.
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do that, that's fine.
Yeah, but I think we discussed how your romance will vary from season to season, what you consider to be a romantic gesture. And you need to recognize what your spouse does as a romantic gesture.
Which is the gratitude.
The gratitude, yes.
So I think romantic, doing something for your spouse or giving them something, if it has some meaning behind it,
mm-hmm.
and I'll get to that, that's what makes it romantic.
Yes.
It's not, okay, it's our anniversary, so I'm obligated to get you this, or it's Valentine's Day, I'm obligated to do something.
Right.
Right. So, but if it's something that's, let's put it this way, it's like if it's a sacrifice,
yes.
even if it's a little one,
yeah,
right. Like one of the things I do for you, I try to do every day,
mm-hmm.
is keep the kitchen sink free of dishes, meaning, just put everything in a dishwasher.
Yes, believe me, that's a romantic gesture to me.
Well, it's not the typical romance, roses,
right?
And
but that's
stuff.
why we said your romance, what you consider romantic, is going to change from season to season.
Sure, but I don't even think that would have changed. If I had been working from home when we first got married, and had done that, it would have been a romantic gesture,
right?
Even during that season with kids running around.
Definitely, no question.
So now when I work from home, you got to get up from your desk so you don't shrink and destroy your spine. So I, just walk around a little bit and go into the kitchen, and it takes like 10, 20 seconds to put stuff in, in the dishwasher, and I'm able to mostly keep it cleared out.
Right.
So anyway, that's just an example.
And
can you think of other?
Well, I do meal prep for you.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then, if I'm home when it's time for you to eat, I make sure that I heat up your food and I bring it to you, so you don't have to get up in the middle of your meeting or in the middle of what you're doing and like leave your box, so to speak.
Mm-hmm.
To eat, and I'll just bring it in. I put it on your desk. I kiss you on the forehead, and I walk out of the room because I'm not trying to interrupt your day.
Right, but you keep me from. You make it so that I don't have to interrupt my day either.
Yeah. Things like if I make myself a cup of tea,
right,
I'll make sure that I ask you if you want one too.
Yeah.
And I check in with you. Do you need anything right now before I move on to this next activity I have to do?
Yeah.
That kind of thing. Then none of that sounds wildly romantic, but to us, it actually is.
Yeah. So you have to find out. It has to do with, like I said before, it has to do with sacrifice, and that's not a negative term.
No.
It's like laying down your life for someone.
Yeah.
Like for 30 seconds, I lay down my life and do something that I might not want to do.
Right.
And do this thing for you that you could easily do.
Yeah.
Right. But it shows you that I'm thinking about you.
Mm-hmm.
And and so then, to be honest, it becomes not a sacrifice anymore. It's just something that I like to do to show you, because I think we got to get to the point where we like showing our spouse, like showing each other that we love them by doing these things.
That's what it should be,
right?
yes.
So we begin to enjoy the actual thing we're doing because of the result that it produces.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. And I'll just be honest, the meal prep thing, I, I guess I do consider that to be somewhat of a sacrifice because I don't like to cook. Like if I could give up one chore and never do it again, that would be it. I've been cooking since I was like 13 years old, and I'm 50 something. I don't know.
Yeah,
So,
you're not that old.
Okay. So I've been cooking a very long time, and honestly, most of those years of cooking was hearing, "I don't want this. I don't like this. Do
Not
I have
from-
to eat this?"
not
No,
from me.
not from him, but from various children and younger siblings that I had to cook for. So because of that, I just have this disdain. I don't know how else to put it for cooking in general. So whatever I cook is extremely basic, very bare bones. I don't get fancy at all with the cooking. You and I will do that on occasion on our date nights. Like tonight we had a nicer, we had a nicer meal. We had an at-home date again. And we will likely do that again next week because, hey, next week is Valentine's Day. So we are not going near a restaurant anywhere around here.
Next weekend, as we record this,
Well,
we'll probably post it on Valentine's Day.
Yeah, we'll post it
this past weekend.
Yeah. But anyway, it's Valentine's month, so we're going to avoid restaurants if at all possible. But cooking for you is not as big of a chore. For one thing, I'm only cooking for 2 to 3 people. You're not real picky. You generally will just eat whatever I prepare and not bellyache about it.
Yep.
But yeah, I mean, I don't like cooking. If I could bake all day, that would be fun. I would do that. But so I think what we're trying to say is not only should romance be an everyday thing, but you need to start looking at what your spouse is doing for you on a day-to-day basis as romantic gestures.
Right.
Don't just look at it and say, well, of course he did the dishes. They were sitting there, and I asked him to before I left. Don't do that, or your wife, makes dinner and then you just sit there and eat it. Well, of course she makes dinner. That's her job. Right. Or, you go up and your bedroom is cleaned up, straightened up, the bathroom is clean or whatever. And well, of course she did that. That's what she's supposed to do. Don't look at it that way.
Right.
It really is about expressing gratefulness for the little everyday things and seeing them as romantic gestures.
Definitely. I mean, I think that's part of it's like a two-way thing where, one of you does something and the other one is grateful.
Mm-hmm.
And then vice versa.
Right.
Right.
So what did you pull up there? What do you got?
So I'm just going to run through, so we've talked about things that you do every day.
Right.
Look at those as romantic.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sure everybody can think of some things that they have to do that are chores.
Right.
Right. And we're talking about reframing how you see those things.
Mm-hmm.
And then the other, right. So whoever normally does something, reframe in your mind that this is a romantic gesture.
Right.
Right. But the key is the person who doesn't normally do those things shows gratitude. And we talked about gratitude before in that episode.
Yeah.
So they become, and it takes a little time, but they become the romantic gestures.
Right.
And we've also talked about, I don't know if we had a specific episode, but we talked about building or growing your relationship bank, right? Filling that up.
Right.
Right. So the more, you do 10 things, and if you have a disagreement and you fight about it, right, you haven't destroyed your relationship because all of that foundation is there, all that stuff behind it that you've done is there, that you've proved that you love each other, and you've proved that you're there for the forever, right? So one little fight doesn't make you insecure, or
right,
whatever, right?
Yeah.
But I just anybody can do this, so I'm just gonna run through a few things. And we even talked about this the episode we just did. Like, I think, like some physical intimacy,
right,
before you leave for the morning, first thing in the morning, before you leave for work, when you get home from work,
right.
I'm just going through them. Holding hands while walking down the street.
We have always
talked about that,
but we've always done that to the point that I think if we weren't holding hands, my kids might assume that we're fighting.
But we even hold hands while we're fighting. So
well, we do, and
actually
that's one of my tattoos. I had that tattooed on myself.
Yeah. You don't have to write poetry, but you could leave a Post-it note.
I do. Yeah, we do that. We'll leave notes for each other. Every once in a while. We see each other a lot, so that's not totally necessary.
Or a text.
Right. We do that.
Bringing home a small treat. Okay. So you don't have to run out and buy $50 roses, but get grocery store roses, or something that you like. Or
right. I went to Whole Foods a few days ago, and I always try to look out for stuff that you might like that might be on sale. Say while I'm out, right? And I found this beer that you really, really like.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh, okay. So I just grabbed it.
Yep.
That's so that kind of thing. Just always kind of be aware when you're out, and if you see something, pick it up. It's not a big deal.
It is once a week or once a month.
Yeah.
Just a little thing.
Yeah.
Right? Doesn't have to bust your budget.
Yeah.
So we talked about physical intimacy, unexpected compliments, right?
That's something I try to focus on. I try to focus on you.
You do that much better than me.
But I try to focus on, I want you to always feel the best about yourself.
Yeah. And
it's not something I got a lot of as a kid, So it's something that I do try to focus on with you.
Okay. Take turns picking a movie to watch. We do this every day. Ask how you slept.
Yes, we do.
We check in on each other.
Because
we don't sleep.
Well, no, we do actually. I mean, but it's just that will give you an awareness of where your spouse is coming from during the day.
Yeah.
Like, if I know that you either had a lot of trouble getting to sleep, I roll over every morning and we cuddle for a few minutes.
And so that's a thing too.
Yes. Yeah, but we'll get into that. But, we'll cuddle for a few minutes. And if I sense that you are struggling to wake up, that's when I say, do you need to sleep a little bit longer?
Yeah.
So I will get up and as quietly as I can get dressed and exit the room. And I'll generally try to let you go back to sleep. And I struggle with sleep. I think I struggle with it probably more than you do. So that is, and if you are aware that, say I only got 4 or 5 hours of sleep, that I'm going to be maybe a little on the cranky side and kind of tired most of the day.
So I understand.
So you can be a little bit more understanding. Right. Yeah.
I think we should be understanding all the time.
Well, sure.
But
I know, but there are specific instances where it's, it's better to.
Yeah. I agree.
If you need to be aware of your spouse's.
That's one part of it.
Their patterns or whatever. Right. Yeah.
And I think a little tangent is, like I said, be understanding all the time.
Right.
Right. Usually something's going on when someone is answering questions in a curt manner or
Right.
easily angered
Or maybe they're just extra quiet.
or extra quiet.
Yeah.
Right. Not normally the way they are. So,
Yeah.
Be understanding and then support them in whatever they're going through. Right.
Right.
So there's romance right there. It's
Yeah.
like we're in this together.
Yeah.
What's going on? That
Right.
sort of thing. Join in on their hobby. So I don't even know if I have hobbies.
Well, you like to do the yard work and you like to build things and, you like to do outdoor. And sometimes I'll come out and
So if you
and try to help you,
right,
as best I can.
yeah, so we do that. We do the
And
chores
then-
together, like we prepared. You talked about doing the food prep, but we helped each other
Right.
this past weekend.
And then we do we work out together once a week.
Right,
And then you will occasionally come to the gym with me.
occasionally.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not really your preference, so I try to be sensitive to that, but
Right. Okay. Let's see. Bringing them lunch. There's flowers, of course.
I'm not a big flowers girl.
You're not, but
No.
and I know that. So
I get them on
I'll find the
occasion,
other
but
things.
I'm not. Yeah, that's just not really my thing.
right. Cuddling
Mhm.
before we get out of bed and before we go to sleep.
Yeah, and we'll pray together too. And
We
that
pray
really
together, sure.
builds intimacy.
Yeah.
Praying together
And we've
before you
gone,
go to sleep.
right. I don't know if we've done this. Brush your hair.
You would struggle with that. I have crazy hair, so that's not really.
Well, but I would certainly could do it. Back rubs.
Yes, we do that. That's just because we're old and have bad backs.
Yeah. I'm not going through all of these because you all can look at them. Or, Google
Yeah.
romantic gestures. That's all you got to do. And get ideas. I'm sure there's hundreds of them out there.
Yeah.
This is funny. Breakfast in bed. And I'm thinking,
And
I hate breakfast in bed.
Yeah,
'cause it's
we've
always
done
like
it a couple times, but
unless you have the right equipment and you're still sitting in bed and trying to eat. It's like,
and you're getting crumbs in my sheets. I don't
Well,
know
there's
about
that
all
too,
that. That's kind of nonsense.
So here's one of the bigger ones is like spend the whole day together,
Yes.
whatever you want to do or
Mhm.
whatever I want to do. Or we just spend the whole day together doing what we both want to do.
Right.
So we've gone paddleboarding together.
We've gone to the beach.
We've gone to the
Few
beach.
times.
We can go anytime we want. We
Yeah.
have, we bought a couple kayaks. So we've been kayaking before, but
Right.
we'll do that again. That sort of thing.
Right.
So you just
Romantic
have to,
getaways too.
yes.
That's-
and then
that's
the bigger
very
things
important.
would be getting away. So we've said we go on a date every week,
Right.
just about every week. Maybe
We say go on a date. COVID changed that
right.
a lot for us. Like we would go out every week until all that nonsense happened 2 years ago. And then when all the restaurants shut down, we just okay, well now we have to adapt. And we figured it out.
Sure.
Like for a while
It was
we got a date night box that had like a game and an activity and a recipe and just
did
so
that for-
we did that for a
can
few
do that.
months, right?
Right.
But I think in the process of that though, we discovered that we actually kind of like at-home dates.
Right.
As long as as long as the children aren't invading or because
Right.
they can do that, like they are aware that Friday night is date night, but when they sense that date night is over, they'll kind of worm their way back in. It's
Hey,
like,
how you
okay,
doing?
hey, we gotta have a conversation, and so but for the most part, they're aware that, and I know one of my daughters, she's got 3 kids, and there have been times she's asked us to babysit on Friday night, and I'm like, yeah, I mean, we will change it sometimes.
We can move it.
We can move
because
it,
we're flexible.
but we'd rather not. And if I know you already had something planned that you were going to make me and we were going to watch a movie or whatever we were going to do, I will tell her, sorry, date night, and she has no problem with that.
Yeah, 'cause,
you know,
we could watch the kids the next day.
Yeah. So, yeah, I mean, I think we've talked enough about the importance of that weekly date.
Sure.
You know, like Valentine's Day should not be
the only
day.
You're in trouble if Valentine's Day is the only date.
You're in trouble for a lot of reasons, because I'm sorry, but going out on Valentine's Day, that's a miserable evening. It's just kind of
never
is.
Been that good.
No.
Every time, whenever we've done it a couple times. But anyway, so for instance, and I'll just say this, like the at-home date thing, if you've got kids who cannot, who occupy themselves, are old enough to go out and do their own thing on a Friday night or whatever, right? Obviously, if you had little kids, this may be harder.
Right.
But even if you do, you get them in bed and plan to just spend time together.
Yes.
Even if, at home, you don't have to pay a babysitter. You got something special to eat.
Right.
Or whatever. And just don't focus on the problems, because you should have been doing that like other times during the day.
Right. And
just spend time with each other and focus on each other. So like tonight, you were going to say something.
No, go ahead.
Okay, so tonight, you got this pretty cool steak recipe. It's not really a recipe. It's just a way to cook the steak. It's always perfect every time. I think it has been.
Mm-hmm.
And so tonight we had some ribeyes and
lobster
tails, and
we had asparagus.
I made an asparagus
with
hollandaise,
and
I made a flourless chocolate tort. And
right.
After we're done recording, we're going to go downstairs and make some whipped cream and have raspberries. So it's like, this is
that's an
$70 meal.
Yes, that is an $80 to $100 meal, and
with wine and all that stuff. It's like, you could get that at a restaurant, and you'd just be running out. You'd have to pay the babysitter too, so that's more, or whatever. And we probably spent $20 on that meal, or $30.
30 maybe, yeah.
Right,
yeah.
But we're talking about lobster tail and steak and this great dessert.
Yeah.
So that's not only why we like at-home dates, but you get, I think, in my opinion, you get better food than you get in a restaurant.
It's true.
Right? We could pick our own steaks, and they're grass-fed, and or whatever. We know what we're eating.
Yeah.
And we cooked it the way we like.
Yeah.
Right, and we don't know where steaks come from. I mean, restaurants
and nobody
are trying
is
to
rushing
make money,
us
right?
to get to clear out the table so they can see somebody else.
Right.
And as long as our children leave us alone, we've got several hours. And another thing that we kind of stumbled over, maybe it was the date night boxes, was actually, you can Google this too, Google or DuckDuckGo, whichever one you use. Questions, like fun questions to ask on a date night, and we will spend an entire evening going through those questions, and that's been eye-opening. It has in a lot of ways, because some of the questions will lead to a deeper discussion on whatever the question is about. Some of them just like, maybe it's something you never told your spouse,
right? Or what you think about it, right?
Yeah, or what you think about it, or whatever. That's also been kind of a fun romantic thing that we do.
Yeah.
We really try to, we don't want to be on our phones.
Right.
We don't want to be scrolling on our date night, right?
No, we're looking at each other. We're talking to each other.
Yeah.
The phones are not there unless we're just using them to look at questions.
Yeah.
But other than that, we're not doing anything else.
Yeah.
No social media. We don't take calls or texts or anything like that.
No.
But you're right. I think I was going to say that sometimes we'll like breeze through like 10 questions, and then that 10th question starts a discussion.
Spark a discussion.
We just talk for an hour.
Yeah.
About that thing, and so not every question is going to spark discussion in everybody, but you'll hit one and be open to that, right? Yeah. Your objective is not to rush through them,
right?
But And we've hit the same question,
Sure.
like multiple times, and then the first time we just kind of breeze through it, and the second time that one sparks a discussion.
Mm-hmm.
So it kind of depends on where you are,
Yeah.
and what's happened lately, and that sort of thing. So that's always a good date night.
That one's a good one if you're working on, say, vulnerability in your relationship.
And
Because
or getting to know each other,
sure.
but that's kind of vulnerability
Well,
too.
it is because there have been some questions that that bring up things that, even though we've been married 32 years, like I never told you that before.
Right.
Right. So it does kind of open that door too. And I think we're going to have a whole discussion on the importance of vulnerability.
Didn't we already do that?
No, we did not have that one yet, but we
I
will.
thought we did.
No, we will.
Okay.
We will.
Anyway, but this brings to mind like a thing we all need to learn how to do that has nothing to do with actually what we're talking about, but I'm going to bring it up.
Okay.
Is because people might be thinking, oh, being vulnerable, and this may be like it could be a first date situation or a 30th anniversary situation,
right,
where you're afraid to be vulnerable about a certain subject.
Mm-hmm.
And it's one of those things where the way you overcome fear is, and you don't necessarily eliminate the fear, but you are, because bravery is facing it and doing what you should do,
mm-hmm,
even though you're afraid, right?
Right.
So the way you overcome fear and master it is to expose yourself to the thing that you're afraid of. So when you talk about being vulnerable, it's something you practice little by little.
We're not going to have the discussion now, are we?
No. There's no discussion
about vulnerability.
No.
Okay.
But I just thought I'd throw that out there.
Okay.
Just saying that that's how you overcome.
Right.
And it's not just being vulnerable, right?
Right?
This applies to any fear. Like if you're afraid to get on an elevator, you take little baby steps.
Yeah.
To overcome the fear of
right.
getting on elevators.
Yeah, that's what Dr. Peterson would call facing the dragon.
Eventually, you overcome that fear.
Yes.
Anyway, move on. I'm done.
Okay.
So.
Okay. So, I think the point tonight is there's a reason that we call it Anti-Valentines Day. It's the emphasis on having that romantic evening, or having, doing romantic gestures one time when it should be,
or once a quarter,
a quarter, whatever it is.
And it should be.
And it should be an everyday thing.
Yes.
And you should always be on the lookout for what your spouse is doing for you. Right. And we listened to shout out to Tray and Lea Morgan, Stronger Marriages podcast. They talk about don't save the lingerie and the nice wine and the nice food for that one day. Right. I mean, if you're going to have a date night at home, make it something, make it special, because
sure.
You'll spend half as much as you would in a restaurant, and you can have nicer food, like what we just discussed, right? And you know what? You can sit down and split a bottle of wine for $10. You can't do that in a restaurant.
No, you can't.
No.
That's true.
You can have a couple of drinks, right?
Yeah.
And you're not going to break the bank. Exactly. You know what I mean?
So you could do that more often.
Yeah.
Than you normally would.
Sure.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, there are restaurants, I won't mention the names, but I'll tell you, they have this quote unquote reputation for like awesome food, and I won't even mention the type of food, but it's like the last time we went, the one time we went. Okay, the one time we went. And we've been to another restaurant of this type.
Sure.
And both times that we went to this type of restaurant, it was somebody gave us a gift card.
Yes.
So you probably know what I'm talking about. But, and we were, I mean, it's like the food was not that great.
It was, I mean, it was good food, but
sure,
it wasn't anything that we can't make ourselves.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like we could make it better ourselves, and I think maybe we'll include a link to the steak instructions. Actually, I'm not going to include a link, but if you want to Google Alton Brown, Alton, Brown, and we're not affiliated with him, but we use his recipe, and if you Google his name and the reverse seared steak, that's what I do every time now. And it takes a little time, right? But you're not really doing anything.
Yeah.
Except at the last 10 minutes. So try that out. And, you don't have to worry about overcooking your steak if you want a perfectly cooked steak, in our opinion. Anyway, I totally lost my train of thought, but
that's okay.
Let's come back. I don't think there's anything else to talk about here.
No, I think we covered it. I mean,
make Valentine's Day every day.
Yes, make Valentine's Day all the time, not just once a year.
Yeah, but 365 little things.
Yes.
One a day or two a day. Obviously more than 365, but every day is, and they're easy things, is much better.
Yeah. Than
once, 2 or 3 times a year doing some big thing.
Yes.
Right. And we're not saying don't do the big things every now and then.
No, if you want to celebrate Valentine's Day and you want to go through, you want to do all those
if you
things.
want to do all that stuff,
fine,
But do it a different weekend.
That's right? True. You could do it, yeah.
And you can.
I can't remember the last time we actually celebrated our anniversary on our anniversary.
Well, it's just because it falls in the middle of the week, but we'll celebrate our anniversary on the weekend close to it, and
no, it has more to do with the fact that one of our children was born 3 days after our anniversary.
Yeah.
And then this year, our youngest son is getting married the day after our anniversary, so we're going to be celebrating our anniversary at a different time.
But be flexible. But you can celebrate Valentine's Day any day of the year.
Yeah, you can.
Right. With the big thing, if that's what you want to do. So we're not against doing the big things. What we're saying is we're against the idea of one day a year. This is where the pressure comes. This is where the emphasis on romance is.
Yeah.
Because, like we said, if that's all you do, then you're not really being romantic. You're just fulfilling some cultural
and you're not building your relationship.
Yeah,
on a daily basis, which is what you should be doing.
Exactly. So, I think we're done.
Yes, I think so. I think we've covered it.
All right then.
Okay.
What have we been doing? This has been Marriage on the Half Shell.
Raw and Exposed.
Raw and Exposed. Talk to you next time.